Parshas Korach, Tov Shin, Pei Gimel, and you know Parshas Korach. When you learn it, and I find at least myself when I learn it every year, it's a very, very scary parsha to learn. If you read the midrashim, the mefarshim on this parsha, and you start to just touch a little bit to understand a little bit what happened here between Korach and Moshe Rabbeinu and the ramifications of what happens when you get involved in a machlokes. And the entire subject of machlokes is really a very, very scary one. And each and every year, when we come to Parshas Korach, we speak about the perils, the dangers of being involved at all, in any way, in a machlokes. And you know, it's a very interesting thing, at least I find it interesting, that people today spend so much time and energy running around the world, trotting around the globe, looking for brachas and to find segulos for this and for that, for atzlocha, for parnasa, for this in your life and that in your life. And really people expend a tremendous amount of capital and resources to be in every corner of the world, for every yard site and every skula and every kever and then every type of skula you could think of. And many times the same people do not realize that if you cause or you're being part or you're involved in any way in a machlokes, it absolutely negates just about any good or any bracha that a person may attain in their life. You read through the Chafetz Chaim specifically, and what the Chafetz Chaim says about machlokes. We're not going to go into all of it tonight. We're going to try to stick to a little bit, we try to stay on the subject in the Nesivos Shalom. But if you learn a little bit of the Chafetz Chaim on the subject of machlokes, it's enough to really, really teach you many, many lessons. And of course, like I said, many of them very, very scary, what happens to people when they're involved in machlokes. And the Gemara, Masechta Sanhedrin, Daf Kuf Yud Amud Aleph, tells us, Kol hamachzik b'machlokes over belav, anyone who grabs onto or is part of a machlokes, he's over a lav. You're over a loisaseh in the Torah. Shenemar v'loisiyeh kekoirach v'chadosoi. The Torah tells us you should not be like Korach or the people that joined Korach, the people that were with Korach in this episode in the Torah. And machlokes must be very powerful to warrant the severe punishment. You look in our parsha, the severe punishment that was meted out. Kadosh Baruch Hu made a new creation, something that was never seen before, a new creation where the earth actually opened up, and it swallowed the participants in this machlokes. It swallowed them alive. A tremendous, tremendous punishment. And the Torah speaks of many, many different, throughout the Torah speaks of many different averos and their punishments. Yet, we know that some of the punishments are very, very serious and for very serious averos. Yet, even for those sins, for those averos, we do not find the severity of the punishment that we see here in our parsha. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to go and create something which was never seen before, never done before. For Korach and these people, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I need to do something more severe. I need to create something new to punish them. And Machloikis, as we mentioned, is really just a lav in the Torah. So I would say the other lavin don't have a punishment like this. So why is it that here in our parsha, even young children and infants were burned up and swallowed up by the very earth? Young children, normally, they would not be responsible for things that they would be involved in or things that they would do, or they wouldn't be punished along with the adults who did the chatoim. But over here, children, infants, everybody went down. They were all swallowed up by the earth. And it was entire families, men, women, children, infants, everybody went along. And not only that, all of their possessions, all of their belongings went down with them too. And Moshe Rabbeinu, it went so far that Moshe Rabbeinu even warned everyone not to even touch or get near any of the possessions of these people who were involved in a machloikis. And of course, goes without saying that all of these things are lessons that we have to learn to understand just how far we have to distance ourselves from any small amount of machlekes. We need to run the other way. And obviously also, we need to understand the severity, any punishment that comes to a person if they are involved in a machlokes. And obviously we're here also in Bikur Cholim. It looks like this might be the first time in 700 shiurim that we're being told that we're talking a little bit too loud. So we're going to try to keep it, we're going to try to stay out of machlokes. We're going to keep it a little bit, we're going to talk a little bit lower and close some of the dividers here. We don't want to get into trouble. All right, continuing on with the shir over here. As we said, on a similar theme, we know the Gemara, Masechta Yuma, Daf Tes Amud Beis, tells us that the first Beis Hamikdash was destroyed because of very, very serious Averos. We know that. And the second Beis Hamikdash, the Beis Hamikdash that we're still mourning and we're still waiting almost 2,000 years to get out of this Golus, the second Beis Hamikdash was destroyed because of Sinas Chinam. And despite, Chazal tell us, this was despite the fact that Klal Yisrael during those times was very, very busy with Torah, busy with mitzvahs, busy with chesed, busy with gemilut chasadim. Still the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. Why? Because of Sinas Chinam. And Chazal tell us that this shows us that Sinas Chinam is equal and on par in severity with the most serious Averos. The first Beis Hamikdash was destroyed because of serious Averos, and you know that was only a 70-year Golus. And here, because of Sinas Chinam, which technically is also just a lav, Leisisnas Achicha B'Vavecha, we're waiting 2,000 years, and the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed because of Sinas Chinam. Leisisna es Achicha B'Vavecha, that caused almost 2,000 years of Golus right now. And it should be clear to us, says the Nesivos Shalom, that the Torah is trying to deliver to us in this week's parsha a very, very powerful message. And the lesson is that the Avera of Machloikis is one that is too heavy for any person to carry around. The Maimer of Rabbi Akiva, we're all familiar. The Maimer of Rabbi Akiva, Amar Rabbi Akiva, right? V'yohavta l'reacha kamoicha is a klal gadol b'Torah. V'yohavta l'reacha kamoicha, we all know that. That's a klal gadol b'Torah. And within that, within the v'yohavta l'reacha kamoicha lies the entire Torah. And the Nesivos Shalom tells us that when Klal Yisrael is together, and we're ba'achdus, and we're at peace, and we're b'shalom, and we're in harmony, then Hashem refers to us and treats us as His children. And having that shalom, and having that peace, and being having the lack of machlokes, that is what the barometer with which HaKadosh Baruch Hu measures us. Are we His children, or are we not His children? If there is machlokes, says in the Nesivos Shalom, Hashem does not treat us as His children. And yes, of course, that is the klal gadol b'Torah, that without shalom, without peace amongst Klal Yisrael, we're going to lack that connection of being children of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And of course, that's a klal gadol b'Torah, that when we are together, there's the rachamim and the chesed from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As we say in Shemona Esrei, Baruchenu Avinu Kulanu Ke'echad Bior Panecha, that when we are together, then, when we're Kulanu Ke'echad, then we receive the light and the count of the countenance of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And unfortunately, the other way, when there is machlokes, the result is tremendous separation in the entire world. It begins with Klal Yisrael. It begins with HaKadosh Baruch Hu saying that I cannot act to you like a father, and you can't be my children. But it continues on. We, Klal Yisrael, we are the influence of the entire world. And when we're not b'shalom, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that there cannot be shalom, there cannot be harmony in the world. So the most severe punishment in the Torah is for what? Is for this week's Parsha. The most severe punishment in the Torah is for machlokes. Why? And now we understand, because we are causing the separation between Hashem and Klal Yisrael, and as a result of that, we are causing a separation amongst the people of the world and between Hashem and all the rest of the people of the world too. And now, 2,000 years later, we're still in Golus because of that. And the Nesivos Shalom tells us many times that we have to understand now our Chodesh Tammuz, very, very soon, we're going to begin in another 2 weeks from today. We begin the Bein HaMitzarim. We fast Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. So Yerushalayim is on our mind. This is the time of the year that we have to introspect and understand that we're not, the way it works is we don't blame it on the people from 2,000 years ago. Oh yeah, those were really bad people. They had sinas chinam. Every single year that the Beis HaMikdash is not built, every single year that we're still in Golus means that we are the cause of the Beis HaMikdash being destroyed. Because had we fixed, look around the world today, exactly what the Nesivos Shalom said about the time of the Bayis Sheni. Look around the world today. There's more Torah probably than ever in the history of the world. There's more chesed in this building than there may have been in the rest of the world during many, many different generations. There are more mitzvahs, more b'nei Torah. There's so much more that has been for many, many hundreds of years or thousands of years now in Klal Yisrael, yet we're still here. We're still in Golus. And if we're still here, it begins with what we see in our Parsha, the severity of machlokes, the severity of sinas chinam. And it's time for all of us to take that lesson. This week of Parshas Korach, let's take that lesson. Let's learn the lessons of Korach, that we should not be like them. Everyone, don't look at everyone else and try to make them make things better. Each one of us has to look inside ourselves and say, we're going to do our part to have shalom. We're going to walk away from that machlokes. We're going to make that a good phone call. We're going to fix that relationship. We are going to do our part. And hopefully then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will look at us and take us out of this galus.